Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Drop-In Morning Show where the Teach Better team is live every single morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We are so excited to bring a new guest to you to continue our conversation about capacity. And of course, we have a good news story and some goofy holidays for you. For those pizza lovers out there, you're going to want to stick around for the debate. But we are so excited to kick off our morning together. Shout out to those of you listening live over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And if you're listening to this after the fact, we really appreciate you tuning in to Teach Better Talk podcast, subscribing, rating, and reviewing, and being a part of our morning show every single day, regardless of when it falls into your day experience. We'll be right back here, so go fill up your coffee. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, April 5th. We have Lillian Ardell with us again. I know you've been on the show, Lillian, with Jeff before in the fall, but I haven't gotten to interview you, so I'm very excited to be live with you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hola a todos. Bilingual over here, so I'm going to be switching and swapping, so pay attention.
I love it. I love it. I know the energy in the morning we all need, so I know a lot of people really loved being able to experience your energy in the fall, and then now having you back in the spring is just such a wonderful reminder. For those people who may have missed the episode where you and Jeff just had a fabulous morning together, would you mind giving us a little background on who you are, kind of that bio?
Yes, of course, and thank you so much. Gracias a todos in the Teach Better space for bringing me on and for helping me get to know some teachers, because first and foremost, I'm a teacher, right? That's why we're all here. And so I am a teacher educator. I was a bilingual teacher in New York City. So shout out to East Coasters for a number of years. I worked in an elementary classroom. Spanish, if we haven't guessed already, is my other language. And I'm just was always curious about the intersection of language and teaching. I guess you could say that was the beginning spark, and it's still my passion and love. And so I pursued a doctorate in bilingual education at New York University. And yeah, now I run this business, Language Matters. And I do staff development, and I really help teachers think about how they show up in the classroom working with their multilingual learner students. So yeah, any topic about language or linguistics, not the scary kind. Well, I mean, I don't think it's scary, but it's so amazing, Rae, how often language enters into the equation and how we can actually look at it and give it some reverence, and then speak to it and speak truth to power through and about language. So that's the value I bring today.
I love it. No, there's been so many different opportunities to connect with new people and add them to our PLN so we can be better in all these different areas. You're someone I always encourage our network to connect with. And we actually have a personal connection in addition to obviously being, professionally connected as well. But it's always fun to be able to expose the Teach Better community to people within my personal life as well. Our families, our friends. I mean, it's
Yeah. I've known you for, I don't know, at least 2 decades, if not longer.
Yes. And it's so interesting, like the memories that we have as kids and then growing up and losing contact in between, but then obviously reconnecting over the last year or so and being able to follow the work that you're doing. And hello, a doctorate. I mean, unreal how you've gone through to become really an expert in this. I'm always so in awe of the work that you're doing.
No, well, I mean, I'm just here furiously taking notes about how to be a businesswoman in education, because, we're all teachers, right? And teachers take care of their own. At least that's been my experience. And that's what I think is just so beautiful and inspiring and deeply empowering about the Teach Better space. And I am reverence, I guess, is going to be the word this morning for the work that y'all have done. And then for any teacher that's tuning in and listening and getting themselves in there and getting their whiteboards whited and their markers sharpened. You don't sharpen markers, your pencils sharpened. And it's, we are the best in the whole profession, teachers, right? Like, or in the working force. That's what I meant to say.
I love it. I love it. We also have been able to not only follow each other diving into language, but you also were able to do a exclusive professional development for our ambassadors just a few months ago as well.
Yeah,
So
that's
you've
right.
been popping up kind of all over in the Teach Better community. For those of you interested in that exclusive ambassador training, you can actually apply to be an ambassador here in just a few months. I know that's not public news yet, but it is coming. So for those of you who don't like missing out on really good opportunities, this might be an avenue for all of you to apply. So just a little tidbit there. Little tidbit.
Little nibble, just a little taste.
Exactly. Lillian, we have a ton to get to on the show, but I will say right off the bat, we have started using a free app called Happy Feed. And in this community, we use it every single morning, especially here on the Daily Drop-In. Some people even choose to use it on the weekends. And we document a moment of gratitude. And what I love about this app is that as we document a moment of gratitude, we can actually revisit past memories, past documentation really easily, which is so fun. You're able to look back and say, oh, what was my moment of gratitude on the Daily Drop-In 6 weeks ago? So as we're doing that this morning, I'd love to start off the conversation by asking you if you wouldn't mind sharing what you are grateful for this morning.
Yeah, God, talk about the intersection of daily practices and language. I'm grateful for the hard moments, actually, Rae. And I'm pushing myself to do stand-up. Like, who am I to think that I'm funny or to even think about that? But I'm really grateful that I pushed myself to be outside of my comfort zone. And because that's where, I don't know, learning happens. And of course, my children, I'll throw them in there. What about you, honey?
Oh my gosh, so grateful for so many things, but I am not letting you go by that quick. I want to hear about the stand-up. Tell us something, because honestly, educators out there are so inundated with responsibilities, stressful circumstances. I love when I talk to an educator that has a hobby that is a little bit different, that I'm like, hold on, are we all missing out on something? What are you up to?
Well, I think educators are all public speakers, right? And so I think something actually, Rae, that I'm interested in is labeling and pointing out, talk about language, all of the different roles and hats and frankly skills that teachers bring to the table. And we're commanding an audience all day long. So like no better place to try your material is like in front of just like kids. And so I thought I'm going to be a public speaker. At least that's an aspiration of mine. And I want to knock some jokes in there and keep the audience, disarmed and a little bit laughing while I'm also laying some knowledge bombs about the topic. So
I love it. Our community here, we've been encouraging everyone over the last month and even continuing forward into next month to really advocate for themselves and share their voice. And a big emphasis for us is we have applications open for our Teach Better conference. So we're like, okay, even if it's your first time presenting, just go submit a session. We'd love to have you do something like a 20-minute session or a 15-minute session. There's so many opportunities here for us to stand up in front of our peers and share our insight. Any tips on presentation suggestions? I will say most of our community have been focusing on like applying and really like advocating for what you're interested in. We haven't done a lot of professional development here, at least on the show, of strategies on like how to be a good presenter.
Oh yeah. Well, I think everyone loves a good demo. So I'm guessing that especially in the teaching space, and even I feel like I'm sharpening up that skill set. But what other tips do I have? Just, I'm not even doing it, but like, standing with a straight back, right? And smiling and, recognizing that you're a queen or a king or a they. I don't know what the non-gender binary for royalty would be, but that you can stand in your power and that gives you the the confidence to be saying the thing that you're doing. And if you're applying to a conference, I would hope that you feel that confidence. So is that sufficient? I guess it'll have to be.
I think body language is enormous when presenting, and your body language matters just as much when you're in front of an 11-year-old as when you're in front of a peer at a presentation as well. I love the suggestion of a demo. I think that's such a wonderful, easy go-to for a teacher. I mean, we essentially, teach instructionally or demo concepts all the time that shouldn't go away just because you're in front of colleagues.
I mean, in fact, that's when you're going to be able to talk the talk, right? Is when you're demonstrating what the thing is. And then, I mean, we're humans are monkey see as monkey do, right? We are actually apes. And so the more that we can see it, and then also another thing I might add, now that I'm thinking about it, which also shows our vulnerability side, is when we blunder in the middle of a thing, and then how we recover from it. And I think maybe some of us in the profession don't feel like we have the grace to make a little oopsie and then work through it, even though to err is human. And then to err in front of our colleagues and for them to be like, oh, because the first time we do a thing, we're more likely going to stumble than we are going to be flawless at it. And so, I'm not encouraging, but like, if and when it should happen, that's actually an opportunity to bond with your audience a little bit more and to show how you sort of like brush yourself off and you keep on going. Is that a good tip?
I love it. No, it's great. I was just on a podcast that isn't going to come out for a few weeks, but it was with somebody in our podcast network. Those of you who follow Dana, she's such a good podcast host, but it was the Out of the Trenches podcast. And one of the questions, the first question she asked was, what was a time that you like essentially made a mistake and got your way out? And I was like, Dana, I think every day.
I
mean, 1,500 mistakes.
Because the more you shoot for, the more you're going to blunder. And in many ways, maybe we could just redo the metrics and say, how many mistakes can I actually make today? Because that means that I was pushing myself out of my comfort zone and I was making the most of the day that I had to breathe. And so if we could circle back to the gratitude, that we're here, that we feel healthy, at least I certainly do. I think you are also, it gives us another day to err.
I love this. Such a good challenge for the morning. I would love for people to spend their day reporting out on how many mistakes you can make today.
Yeah.
I love the concept of making mistakes because you tried something that you weren't for sure going to be successful at. Like, how wonderful is that? And include your students in it. We'd love for it to hear you report out on how that goes for you this afternoon. I know, Lillian, you're on social media. I'm on social media as well. Send us a message or share a tweet and tag us in it. We'd love to hear how that goes. We're going to transition here into our brainstorm bank. It is Tuesday morning, so we're going to start with our brainstorm bank today. This is where we will get into our theme for the morning and then also take questions from the comments if anybody has specific questions for Dr. Lillian Ardell. So we'll be right back. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, April 5th. I can't even believe it's April 5th. That feels very, very late into the spring.
Yeah.
We are getting started here with Dr. Lillian Ardell. Lillian has so much to be able to share, I know, on our theme this week. So I'd love to dive in. But of course, don't forget, in this area, we are constantly asking for interaction from our community. We want to ensure that what we share here on Daily Drop-In is relevant to you. And so if you have any questions pop up in your mind, feel free to throw those in the comments. We always love to support you as you continue to brainstorm through any topic related to teaching or any question that you might have for our community. Lillian, I know that our topic really resonates with things that you are passionate about. It's all about lowering our stress to increase our capacity. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, humble water actually is topic number one, and a thing I'm grateful for. Hydration, who would think about it? But when is water not the answer for a lot of things, actually? And so just taking a few gulps can help regulate, because I think we've got to sort of just recognize, and I'm not a medical professional, I'm a doctor of philosophy, not, medicine. However, Anything that can regulate us, right? Our physical senses, and I think water, and then of course, breathing.
Mm.
Breathing is another good one. And so I actually spoke with your colleague Jeff in October last fall about my meditation practice. And it feels like water and meditation is going to save us all. I actually feel like it has, in many ways, just brought me back down to a baseline level where I could think a little bit sharper. And also, when we think sharper, we're better decision makers. And let's just acknowledge that professional jobs in the modern way require upwards of 1,000 decisions to make in a day. And every single decision that we have to make is just like, it's a little notch in our system that just like pours a little bit of our energy out. And then the bigger decisions require a lot more of the cognitive energy. And so bringing in the water, coffee's good too, but like not so much. And then just like breathing through the situation can really return you to like a more calm state. And then you can think about, well, how do you want to proceed forward and do the thing? Does that resonate with you, Rae?
Yeah, I love the concept of taking a moment to drink water, not only for the hydration, which of course has major health benefits. I'm always told that I don't drink enough water by my friends and colleagues. So definitely on the reminder this morning, and I will definitely incorporate that into my Tuesday. But I do also love the time and space taking a sip of water provides us. I mean, it really allows us in a challenging circumstance or as we manage our stress to take a breath, and take a moment to evaluate and think before we react. I mean, even that moment of quiet as you're sipping on water is beneficial.
It's all the same source, right? Oxygen's floating in that water too, is in the breath. So I think that something that I'm constantly advocating for, and oh boy, am I a fierce advocate. I feel like I was just like birthed into this world. I'm a Leo. Shout out to all of you born in July and August, the fierce Leos, so that we can advocate for the things that we care about. Is that I want teachers to advocate for themselves, in any way that feels right. And even advocating for the calm and the space to find a little bit more of the balance in your life and in your routine is if I could make no other contribution to the teaching profession than teachers feeling like they can advocate for themselves a little bit more, then I will feel like I will have made a difference in that way. And I guess I'm curious also, and I would love to see in the comments in terms of like the idea of stress and regulation, how teachers have advocated for themselves, for their students in that way, in so far as finding a little bit more balance in their life, right?
Yeah, we discussed balance and harmony a lot yesterday as we were getting into this conversation Monday morning. I think it's a really interesting thing to consider. And as we look at stress, there's so many different elements that are helpful, right? Not only centering ourselves and our body, but also gaining perspective, which again, I think a sip of water can be an element of. I was in a meeting yesterday, Lillian, where there were two educators I was speaking to, and one educator I knew was going through a very personally challenging time. But that was not known across the whole meeting. So I had said just casually, "Oh, how was your day?" And the educator responded it actually in a quite positive manner, knowing that they were experiencing a lot of turmoil. And then the other educator in the room said, "Oh, I had a terrible day," and started talking about some of the things going on. But honestly, without perspective, I mean, small things can feel like big things, even when big things do feel enormous. So it was just interesting how stress can also, be determined based on the lens you're looking through as well.
And also what knowledge you carry, because that's just a really curious story, Rae, that you knew a little bit more than the actors in the space, and it allowed you to show up with some grace and humility, right? To have people show up in the way that they feel like it. And I'm going back to, I'm really trying to like sit in the memories of being in my classroom and up in the Bronx, which is where I taught for so many years. And moments where I did feel like I was losing grasp of things. And that it's important that because I'm not daily in the classroom in that way any longer, that people would be like, well, what does she know? She doesn't know like the daily grind. And it's like, you know what, in some ways, you are absolutely right that I've lost touch with that. And it's so I would hate for the things I'm talking about to feel like they are out of somebody's reach or grasp. And some days the answer is it is out of that reach, and feeling like taking a moment for a sip of water might be beyond the thing that you could do. But I will say this about anything that's a practice, is that just because it didn't happen today does not mean or guarantee that it can't happen for you tomorrow. And I think understanding that the way that we regulate in terms of being required to sleep, I mean, think about as animals, we have to sleep. Like it's a part, there is a cycle and a rhythm to the way that our days sort of operate. The sun rises and the sun sets. And so the next day, I mean, I talk all the time about affirmations. And again, thinking about language matters. The things that you say to yourself upon getting up in the morning, don't go right to the to-do list for F's sake. Give yourself a little moment to like, we're going to talk about pizza later. Like, is there a pizza that I'd like to eat today? Or is there a way that I can maybe get like 10 minutes of arms somehow into my day? Like, do I have like books to stack up somewhere where I could be like working on my summer arm? There's so many ways to fit things in, but so long as they're in the self-service, bringing it back to you feeling like you're doing the things in that way. I don't know.
So we've touched on, you talked about affirmations, and we also talked on meditations. I'd love to give our community here some intentional action steps or strategies that they could consider. I really do love just the reminder to sip water today. I think that was such an actionable suggestion that every single person can put into their day and even their week as we continue forward. But tell us a little bit more about either the words of affirmation or the meditation. Is that something that we can choose to do in our day?
I have such a good one too, because sometimes I really do try to meditate for about 10 to 20 minutes every day without exception. That feels to me like a non-negotiable. Do I succeed? I don't. But this is my little hack for helping me when I have a really packed day. So, and this is the sort of thing that I could see any teacher applying. So there's always that like time at the end of the day when there's just, decimos en español, es un reguero. It's just like classroom is a mess and there is tidying to do. And so I suggest throw in some headphones, right? Maybe put the quiet sign outside of your door. And what is your go-to soothing sound? For me, it's running water. See, the theme for me is water. Maybe it's like the ocean sounds. Maybe it's just like the sort of like Zen sound if you ever get a chance to go to a massage. Maybe if you're really feeling fancy, throw some some essential oil under your nostrils and breathe those in, and just focus on your breathing as you're tidying. And set 15 minutes on your watch, and you are going to feel like, okay, I'm getting this thing done that really has to get done. But what you're going to notice is it opens up your brain to have a little bit more space to transition from the go-go-go-ness of you being a public speaker during the full day to whatever thing. And then I would even say, if there's some pressing meeting, put those bad boys in as you're walking down the hallway to arrive at the place, and use transitions as moments of meditation.
Okay, the easiest suggestion. I mean, that is something nobody can have an excuse on not doing. I love, first of all, I'm a huge music advocate. We talked about this yesterday on the show. I know I've mentioned it numerous times. Anytime that I can go into a different world because I'm putting a sound into my ears, I'm such a fan of. I do love your suggestions on the type of sounds. I think my initial go-to would have been like a song with lyrics, but now that you say that, I think there is some calming element. Don't take my Motown away from me.
All right, but classical music would be sufficient. Something at least that like really can dial down the narrative part of your brain, because really, if we want to get into, and trust me, I love a good story. I'm a good storyteller. But I think the thing that meditators advocate for is that the churning and the constant of the languaging, language matters, but we got to give the language a little breaky and give our brains some just like space time. And so I think that that's why you don't want lyrics. And that's why you want something that's a little bit more soothing. And again, it's about the stillness practice, but you can achieve stillness even as you're moving through in that way.
Well, and I love the ocean waves. Sign me up for that. That's my favorite way to, I mean, when I'm on vacation and my goal is to always find ocean waves. So I think that's wonderful. But then I love the suggestion of incorporating a scent into that experience. I don't know that I would frequently think about how easy it is to, put essential oils close to your nose and to be able to really incorporate a strong scent into a moment of relaxation. We were just talking truly just yesterday evening with our committee that's working on the experience of the Teach Better conference, and we were incorporating the 5 senses. How do we really want to engage our audience that chooses to attend the Teach Better conference, utilizing their 5 senses at all times? I love that your suggestion here is to lower our stress by incorporating our 5 senses.
And it's, again, like, talk about actionable and also not very like that none of this is expensive to get, like, to order an essential oil, have them around. I would even suggest getting an oil dehumidifier for your classroom and dropping some of those oils in, especially when you're doing some quiet writing time with your students, to just like zen out the space. Our students are in such different states of shock and turmoil because of the pandemic and just generally the modern condition, that if the classroom is a place where they can feel like I can be a little bit calmer. Also, let's recognize that on the thread about making mistakes, if we feel like we are regulated in a baseline, we can shoot for something that's challenging and have also some grace and self-compassion, because that's another one of the benefits of meditation, is that I've never been kinder to myself during these moments. And relocating, starting a small business. Right now, I'm actually a single parent. Like, these are spaces where turmoil can just consume you. But for me to every day feel like, you know what, I'm doing the best I can. And then the grace and the self-compassion piece is really a nice, beautiful part of the meditation. And as far as the science is concerned, I feel quite certain that the water and the meditation together are pretty consistently 2 recommendations that come to us insofar as regulating our bodies in that way. Again, not a medical clinician in that way, but I do give reverence to them. Again, that's the 3rd time, so maybe we'll get to 5 for reverence from me.
I love it. So good. As we think about essential oils, which I honestly, I used to incorporate so frequently in my life, and now I feel like this is my reminder that I need to get back into that practice. But okay, any like scents that you really enjoy? I'm not asking as a medical professional. I'm just asking like, okay, I'm thinking through this. I'm having this great dialogue. I'm listening to Daily Drop-In. I'm going to go connect with Lillian on social media. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go do this for myself. I'm going to try and do this as I'm tidying up my classroom tomorrow. What should I go snag? What's the flavor of choice?
Well, I'm a good lavender girl. Maybe it's because of the alliteration for Lillian and lavender, but eucalyptus is also a favorite. And I love to throw eucalyptus in my showers too. Like, talk about transforming your bathroom into a spa. But like, some really might go citrusy, a little like, or there could be something a little bit more on the herbal side that would suit your needs. I think scents are deeply, deeply personal, right? Like, the thing that's going to bring you there is really what's going to be right for you. So I find lavender to be truly calming. And yeah, it's also, I mean, I think the trick about a scent is that you want to breathe more. Somebody just said I'm also a citrus girl. Exactly. So yeah, they're really, and maybe you're going to choose music that's going to pair with a scent, and you're just like, you find yourself as like the students are like packing up their backpacks. It's like, oh, I get the opportunity to think about like what song I'm going to do and what scent I'm going to choose today, because already then what you're doing is you're relishing and getting excited for a transition practice that now you might be able to build into your day that just like is going to make you like life a skosh more.
Yeah.
I think it's been that way for me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. So I'm encouraging everyone, we got to go find a variety pack so we can go try a few different scents. I will say, Lori, I love that you're saying lavender and citrus are options for you. I am very intrigued about the eucalyptus. You see that all the time. People hang eucalyptus in their shower. Why not get your own mini version of that spa experience with some essential oils? This was such a fun kind of like direction I didn't expect for Daily Drop-In this morning, as we were talking about lowering stress to increase capacity. But I feel like everything that you've been able to provide this morning, Lillian, is so actionable. Like the only thing between us and actually seeing these things out to fruition is our choice to do so. And I think it's so wonderful for all of us to be able to take on a very realistic and practical challenge to support ourselves to be better. So I really appreciate these suggestions this morning. So fun.
I'm so glad.
So we are going to wrap up here and transition into some good news. I know we need to talk about some pizza, and then we're gonna say goodbye to all of you here this morning as we head into this incredible Tuesday. But Lillian, any final thoughts if people were tuning in right this moment and saying, hey, what's a major takeaway that you want people to consider if they're just hearing you for a few moments right now?
Yeah, actually, I'm surprised that it took me this long to say this bit because it's a thing that I would say really has changed the way that I think internally, is that there's this thing in language, and there are the shoulds and the coulds and the mights and I should, right? And we find ourselves, if we're patient and we notice it, on this loop of what we should be doing. I need to, I have to. Okay. You have to breathe and live every day, and you do have to pay taxes. But other than that, there are very few things that you actually have to do. Everything else really is a choice. And so part of the reason why my business is labeled Language Matters is because the language that we use reflects our reality and the way that we go through the world. And so I welcome you, even and especially maybe during that bracketed music moment when you do find that your mind is going to wander, what's the quality and the nature of the narrative that you're telling yourself? And is there a single part of it that you can shift towards more grace, where instead of the I shoulds or the I have tos, hey, what are the small victories that I had today? Where are this, and like teachers have billions of them that build up. And the way that our brains, and this is what I do understand about neuroscience, is that because we're evolutionary beings, we have to look for the downsides, because then we adjust to them and we tweak them and we iterate and we sort of do better, right? But we shouldn't have looking at the negative come at the cost of celebrating the positive and the wins. Y te digo, all of that happens through language and through our thinking mind.
Such a good reminder this morning. We'll be right back with some good news and some holidays. Good morning, everybody. We are wrapping up our show here on the Daily Drop-In with some good news and some holidays. It is Tuesday, so this is our last segment all together. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we love to conclude our show with some good news and some holidays. So, Lillian, are you ready to celebrate some good holidays today?
Lay it on me.
All right. First and foremost, it is officially National Deep Dish Pizza Day. Are you a deep dish pizza person?
Oh my God, that's the reason why I was put on today. Are you kidding? That's like my love language is deep dish pizza. Oh.
Today's the day. Today's the day. Go eat some deep dish pizza. I know that this is something that if you're in the Chicago area, you have easy exposure to. I think I can get deep dish pizza by like going a block south from where I am. But if you are in a community where it's hard to find deep dish pizza, we'd love to help you out in some way, because today you got to consume a deep dish pizza.
Yeah, hit me up in the DMs and I will send you some Lou Malnati's. That is literally the gift I get all like postpartum mothers.
So thrilled that you go lose and not Giordano's. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. That's why we're made to be friends.
That's why.
It's also National Caramel Day. So as you're enjoying your deep dish pizza, maybe go get some dessert that you can add some caramel to. Caramel's always a nice sweet treat. Why not? Yeah. Interesting. It is World Flash Drive Day. Lillian, when was the last time you actually used a flash drive?
I mean, what?
Yeah,
A decade,
a
maybe.
decade. That's
Yeah, that
I
sounds
was just
right.
thinking, I was like, I don't use flash drives anymore, but maybe just for today, I'll go find a reason to use one.
Okay, that's fair.
Pretty good. It is also World Library Workers Day, so shout out to everyone who continues to support
Yes.
our libraries. This would be a great day, I think, to allow our students to share their appreciation for our library workers. That would be a fun little break
Yeah.
opportunity for those of you headed into the classroom this morning.
Cool.
Last but not least, not a holiday we typically celebrate, but just for fun today, it is officially the day to read a roadmap. I don't know the last time I read a roadmap, but I'm all about it. Why not?
A roadmap. Okay, that's cool.
Be good. We do have a good news story, and this one also has to do with food because you all know I love food. This one, the headline reads, eating avocados twice a week is linked to lowering heart disease by 16 to 22%. That's
I
a
believe
big
that.
number.
I believe that. Yeah, those good fatty oils, right?
Are you a big avocado lover?
Yeah, I mean, I could be more, but I do like that they're really satiating. And I feel like if I'm gonna go salad, which I'm not want to do, there's got to be some avocado on
I love that. I just had a salad yesterday that had like edamame and feta, and it was
there.
so good. But I didn't add avocado. I guess I need to. I need to incorporate that.
Mhm.
Avocados are tricky to buy and keep.
Keep.
It's my only issue with avocados. I love a good avocado, and especially with this 30-year study that they just conducted.
Hmm.
I love the concept of it being a healthy choice. But I will say sometimes it's tricky to locate them, and it's not a cheap addition to your day. But I
Well, and also they're hard to travel with, like a banana.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's some real like logistical constraints around a good
Mhm.
cotto.
All right. Well, I think we should all challenge ourselves this week if we feel like we're looking to take a healthy step. Apparently, avocados are really really good for our bodies. And today, our conversation here was all about putting good things in our bodies, whether it be mental words of affirmation or water. Or I love all these
Mhm.
connections. So
Mm.
eat avocado today, friends. Why not?
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
good. Lillian, I do want to make sure that our community stays connected to you before we sign off here. Would you mind sharing how everyone can stay connected?
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for having me on. I'm Dr. Lillian Ardell. I'm languagematters.org. So that's my website. I still need to sort out, and this was a thing that you'd said to me, Rae, about having the consistent handles across my socials, and I'm not there yet. So on Instagram, I am at Language Matters. You can find me there. On Twitter, however, I'm at Dr. Lillian Ardell, and there's two L's in Lillian and two L's in Ardell. LinkedIn, you'll also find me as Lillian Ardell, and Facebook has a Language Matters website as well. So those are the spaces, and I really would love to engage with any of you. And I'm certain there's just not even a question about it that I'm going to continue to be a little piojo, a little pest in the Teach Better space. And you're not going to get rid of me that easily.
We love it. I always appreciate following you and seeing those tips and tricks for how we can be better. And so, for those of you who are not yet connected, definitely go choose to connect because there are always things that we can do to be a little bit better today than we were yesterday and a little bit better tomorrow than we were today. Lillian,
Yeah.
thank you so much for getting up bright and early to be able to talk with our community here. We want to share a wonderful, Tuesday with all of you. Have a wonderful April 5th. And of course, friends, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out. Here in just about 20 minutes, we'll be headed into our first admin mastermind of the morning. Don't forget, there's also an administrative mastermind that happens in the evening on Tuesdays. So for those of you that are continuously looking for your community to stay connected, you absolutely have a lot of different avenues to do that over at teachbetter.com. So thank you for all that you do, friends. And we'll see you later. Have a good Tuesday.
Ciao.